So we've been talking a lot about Hadoop. Obviously, it's a big data conference. At some point, that has to come up. If you talk to non-practitioners in the big data space, if there's one thing that they know, they've heard of Hadoop, and maybe they associate it with something with big data. You have just finished up a full day of Hadoop here, and you've also taught many times all over the world, as we explained in your bio. What is it? Is there something in particular, or a group of things that you think that people think that they need to know but don't when you're training, or conversely, what do they need to do that they overlook? What do they need to know about? So what experience can you bring us from all your training experiences as to where people make mistakes?
Okay, I'll throw some things out there. Let's see. If an Apache project is less than 2 years old, you probably don't want to use it in production. If a vendor has put out benchmarks, you probably don't want to read them. If you come from a really solid Oracle SQL database engineering background, it will probably not help you with Hadoop at all. But because Hadoop and these NoSQL systems are really distributed systems, you're kind of better off, in my opinion, coming from like a distributed systems background. Maybe like you start out as a Linux system admin, and you kind of have, like, you really need to be a generalist, I think. So when I teach these classes, a lot of times the companies tell me that they have a administrator class, and they just have like a room full of like 25 admins, and they want to teach them Hadoop. And then there's going to be a separate class I'll be teaching later on for their developer team. And they do that because of, that's how Oracle and SQL used to be, right? There's like a barrier between like your SQL or Oracle admins who like install stuff, and then they just hand it off to the developers who make the schema and put it in there, and the admins take the backups and stuff like that. And I just don't think that works for like big data. I think you really should be like a hybrid generalist who understands the entire architecture, everything from the development down to the admin. Because like if you start looking at the details, if your MapReduce job is not running properly, if it's kind of slow for some reason, without having a really, really deep understanding of the architecture of what's happening all through the network and the disk I/O layer and the memory layer and the CPU layer and the algorithm layer, you will not be able to troubleshoot what you're doing. You'll be really, really kind of stuck if you're just a developer looking at the code, or if you're just an admin looking at network and disk characteristics. So I've been relatively successful when I explain to clients that we should do a DevOps class. Let's just get the admins and developers in there together, and we will literally do a joint class. Maybe it'll be a little bit longer, but that I think is, and you know, that's kind of like, there is a lot of common sayings around that, like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't hear it nearly as much, but like 3 or 4 years ago, that was kind of like the general wisdom of NoSQL. Like you should be DevOps, and that's why like Netflix was like, you know, hiring a lot of DevOps engineer on their Hadoop and Cassandra teams, not like amazing Java developers and not amazing Linux system admins. And I think that's one of the most core fundamentals that you should have. You should really have a very generalist background and not be afraid to dive into any part of the stack.